sold it. And now doesn't Google own YouTube? It does, or Microsoft. Google, right? Owns
I'm
YouTube?
not sure. I'm not sure who owns it anymore. I mean, that's one of the problems is that it's kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they'll come. You build a monster, anything, and you sell it. There's a gentleman, when I was living in Colorado, his whole lifestyle was based on one thing. He would find a niche in some in some industry that nobody was doing anything with, and he'd build a little company, and he'd build it up and build it up and build it up until it got the attention of the rest of that particular industry, and somebody would say, this guy's doing something nobody else is. We can't stand the competition, so they'll buy his company. And that's how he was on a 5-year plan. He would create a business and sell it every 5 years. And then, as soon as he sold that one, he's already on to the next business in some other industry. And I watched him do that several times, working in part as one of his employees in one of his businesses. I first went into
a lot of them write code, just like we all know the story of Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah.
So but then the guys with Google sold that. Mark Andreessen, I remember he sold it. And then look at PayPal was Elon Musk. Of course, look where Elon Musk is today, too. But they knew a little more than we did, folks, and grew up in an environment where writing code was almost normal. They just happened to be geniuses at it. Can you imagine growing up where we learned that? I'd like to know about these type of multi-billionaires. They're all on the top of the food chain now, the top, 10%? I don't know, but if we're helping people on the bottom, it's like the money that in the U.S. they're cutting, to help with the COVID-19 situation that we're in, and they're comparing it to worst depression. I don't like to talk about bad things because I don't like to bring it into my life, but it's out there, folks. So if you're at home and you've got a phone and a cell phone, or a cell phone that you can talk to people online, you can do what I'm doing if you want to pay the money. Everything costs. But what I'm trying to do is build something that I can use my resources for people to pay less, and everybody together we can, work together on certain topics on certain nights. So David works on helping people, and you're not really into the speakers. Like I have a whole bunch of speakers, and I have a lot of agents, consultants, and organizers, but you're not organizing events. But you are in the technical and into the book, so I've got an authors club that I can promote events. So you would be fitting into, I guess, anything that we want to write, that we want to edit, but aren't you going into producing too? Aren't you going to help people cut or edit events?
Well, I help them with, I wouldn't necessarily say events. It's oftentimes the producing that I do, and the book, I say book publishing, but oftentimes I will send them to, if they've gotten to that point, it's like, okay, it's written, it's been edited, you've got a good product. Again, it's, are you going to self-publish? I'll send them, wherever they're going to go in self-publishing, because again, there's becoming more and more avenues. There's more and more distribution points, and companies that will handle, again, almost like traditional book publishers. Depends upon the genre, but here again, there's ways to get out there and self-publish. But when you're a self-publisher, you're wearing all those different hats that you would find at a book publisher for the most part. And then the same thing true, as I said earlier, you have to know who your book publisher is. So it comes down to that very same thing. But when I go to send somebody, I don't really actually publish anything directly. Oftentimes I help somebody find a book publisher. So unless they're doing a fairly small run of something, something more local that they're trying to, test the waters with, then there's then I can publish something small. But for the most part, I don't really want to get into, and have to compete with, big businesses that already exist that can handle a bigger quantity than I'm willing to deal with. I will do something that will be local and small in most cases.
Well, a lot of people are, like the younger kids are all on Instagram or Snapchat, just trying to build their influence among their friends, I guess one might say. So they may grow up being great influencers and the way television's changing, but podcast is up and coming and it's only going to get bigger, folks. So if you want to do podcast, get in touch with David or me, and we'll try to get you on a weekly show. But, we can take this blog talk now, and, of course, it's going to be here for me because I archive. I happen to be an archivist and historian by nature anyway, not to mention an author and a publisher. But I didn't get into the animation yet, and I know that it was offered to me about 5 years ago from India to get into doing animation, but I've seen some artists that draw, and they could do great animation. Now, I like watching those on YouTube because they're creating a story telling you what you can do, right, from home base. So if you're an artist, consider, what you can do at home and put up there for people for entertainment right now during this time. And there are great tools and technology to help you do that. But once you get into business, I like to watch analytics and trending hashtags. And, I'm not really, I think I've got on the Instagram, TJ Morris Reporter, but I don't really want to report anything. So until I get out and about, I won't be reporting anything on Instagram. So I do report these podcasts I do on my Facebook. I have a lot of people for years, I'd say 12 years, didn't know I was into radio because I never posted it. It was mostly, like David said, for family and friends, right? But what happens is family starts finding out you do these things, and they're like hurt at you because I didn't know you did that. I didn't, I've had a few family members come on here during a hurricane. My daughter came on, and my sister came on for a veterans 9/11 2000. The 9/11. So only on certain occasions will people in my family come on, David. How about you? What kind of talk shows would your people think about people that would want to do podcasting? You know anybody?
Most of the people that I know that are into podcastings are, again, connections through LinkedIn. And they, again, much like what you and I are doing right now, other than some of theirs are written, and they'll come to me and say, okay, is this a good program? Is this a good script, basically? And I'll edit for them. And then oftentimes it's like, oh yeah, that works better than what I was originally going to say. So in podcasts, yeah, some people they're written, and others they're more, shoot from the hip type of thing. Whatever comes out of their mouth at the time comes out of their mouth at the time. So it oftentimes, they don't have a, they might deal with a subject and it'll wander wherever it's going to take them. Others are more disciplined and have a full script.
Okay, so yeah, we can make MP3s. It used to be our MP4s, I guess, now with video. It used to be audio only in podcasting our radio shows, and we can make commercials or infomercials and run a little stock music behind it, or before or after, make you some infomercials too. So we'll have to work up what we're doing at home and add to our speaking tools and podcasting and creating domains and websites and businesses for you, and have some business analysts. And some people do email marketing, and I've never been one to do that. It got to be where people, if you send it out for one or more, unless they're really close and want to know something, it becomes spamming. And they made all these rules for spamming. So I don't suggest large, unless you're working with people in a meetup group or some group that you happen to know the people. But you can't just do large mass marketing. Now, my friends on the corner in real estate still, I couldn't believe it, they still do send-outs around here in Gulf Breeze and maybe other places in real estate. And they get people to rent their projects or their quadplexes or duplexes, right, based on the mail-out. So, again, folks, I guess it depends on the kind of business you want to be in and if it fits your advertising scheme. Now, marketing and advertising is different from public relations. So since David and I aren't getting paid for this, this is public relations. This is costing me to talk today. I don't know if that's smart working at home or not, but really, to tell you the truth, I've got this paid for anyway. I'm just using up some air time that I've already got paid for. So, you know, it's not hurting me at all to get David out here on
one of the things about emails, and just to finish that off quickly, is that you have to sign up for an email, and it must also have a subscribe in it anymore. In other words, yeah, you just, and this way you can avoid, unsolicited email. But this is what email has gone to for that very reason, because somebody gets a hold of your email address, and all of a sudden you're getting, all of these ads from this, that, and the other thing, from one business to another business, and you have absolutely no need or want or desire from them, and you can't get all, and you're just wasting a lot of time having to go through your emails and delete all of these unwanted emails. So, yeah, the society and the nature of emails, has gotten to the point, it's almost like, the do not call list. If somebody, so if you're getting unsolicited emails from a business or an individual and they don't have an unsubscribe button on there, you can certainly report them to usually a local city agency, sometimes not the post office, but you can certainly have it tracked down and say, this is a spammer, this is somebody I can't get rid of, I don't know how they got my email address. And there are organizations out there that will shut these places down. I can't think of the
sales movies. Well, I think that's why so many of these marketing and salespeople in other countries have gone to LinkedIn, especially from India, because so many of them were taught by Microsoft and AT&T. So many of these huge companies were over there for years until people started really complaining about their thick accents. Mm-hmm. And by the time they got customer service on the phone, they couldn't understand them. But I've got quite a few friends here in the States from India that own businesses, a lot of the Patels. And my daughter works for the Patels here at Days Inn in Navarre, where we have our conferences for people. But also, I have quite a few friends. I talked to one today, and I met a new one today. So I won't mention their names, but they're friends of mine on LinkedIn. But they also do the same thing that David and I do. They help people in business and get their books written and get their personalities out if they want to be a speaker at events. And, they want to know how can they fit into our collaboration. And, I do blogs and podcasting and domains and speaking, and I reseller, and I help influencers and publicists. So, I pretty much do a lot of things just to help users generate business to themselves as personalities. And I've had some publicists and people that author books. A lot of book companies have to, I guess people pay for the 2,500 thing with book publishers or something extra money to publish, because it's the famous thing that unless you're, like a Clinton, a president, or somebody like that, they don't want your books, these publishers, because they're not going to. Now, very seldom do you get somebody like the Harry Potter series.
Yeah, those are,
that is a success story right there.
But
I don't know that we can help you make that kind of money.
Yeah, but at the same time, it still comes when you look at her